Howdy, partners! Welcome back to the ranch. Well, my kitchen at least. Today we're talking about something near and dear to all our hearts and stomachs, saving money on groceries. Now, we all know that grocery shopping can be a real rootin' tootin' good time. I mean, who doesn't love browsing the aisles, dreaming up delicious meals? But let's be honest, sometimes those grocery bills can leave our wallets feeling a little lighter than we'd like. But fear not, my friends, because I'm here to share some down-home wisdom on how to keep those grocery costs down without sacrificing flavor or fun. We're gonna wrangle those grocery bills and make them behave. So grab your shopping lists, put on your comfy shoes, and let's mosey on over to the first tip for saving money on groceries. It's gonna be a good one, I guarantee it. Our first tip is as essential as a cast iron skillet in my kitchen. Plan your meals. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Planning meals? That sounds about as fun as a hog wrestling contest. But trust me on this one, having a weekly meal plan is like having a treasure map to grocery savings. It helps you buy only what you need and avoid those impulse purchases that can really bust your budget. Think of it this way. You wouldn't go on a cattle drive without knowing where you're headed, would you? Same goes for grocery shopping. With a plan, you'll be riding into that grocery store with confidence and purpose. Meal planning takes a little time up front, but can save you a lot of money and reduce food waste. And that, my friends, is a win-win in my book. Now, when it comes to meal planning, the first step is to take inventory. Just like I check the pantry and fridge at the ranch before heading to the grocery store, you need to see what you've already got on hand. Go on a little culinary adventure through your kitchen. Peek in the back of the fridge, rummage through the pantry shelves, and see what treasures you can uncover. You might be surprised by what you find. Maybe you've got a can of diced tomatoes that's been patiently waiting to become a delicious pasta sauce. Or perhaps you'll find some leftover chicken begging to be transformed into a hearty soup. The point is, using what you already have is like finding hidden money in your pockets. It's a beautiful thing. So before you even think about writing your shopping list, check that pantry and fridge, and let's get creative. All right, y'all. Tip number 2 is as simple as a good biscuit recipe. Stick to your shopping list. Once you've planned your meals and taken stock of your pantry, it's time to write down everything you need and make that list your grocery shopping Bible. Think of your list like a trusty steed on the open range. It's there to guide you and keep you on track. Those grocery store aisles can be mighty tempting, with all sorts of shiny packages and sweet deals calling your name. But just like a loyal horse knows the way home, your list will keep you focused on what you need and help you resist those impulse buys that can really add up. Remember, we're aiming for a well-stocked pantry, not a cluttered one. Discipline is key here. Your list is your budget's best friend. Treat it with respect. Now, sticking to your list might sound easy peasy, but trust me, those grocery stores have ways of tempting even the most disciplined shopper. Suddenly, that bag of chips on sale or those fancy gourmet cheeses start whispering your name. But hold your horses, partner. This is where you've got to be strong. Remember those meal plans you worked so hard on? Remember the budget you're trying to stick to? Those tempting treats might be calling your name, but they're not on the list. Think of it like this. You wouldn't let your cattle stray from the herd, would you? Nope. You'd keep them together, moving towards your goal. That's what we're doing here. Keep your eyes on the prize, stick to that list like a branding iron on a steer, and you'll ride out of that grocery store victorious. And with a whole lot more money in your pocketbook, too. All right, my grocery saving friends, tip number 3 is all about being a savvy shopper. Before you even think about heading to the store, we gotta wrangle those sales and coupons. It's like a treasure hunt, but for your budget. First things first, grab those store flyers. You know, the ones that pile up on the counter? They're packed with deals. And don't forget to check your store's app and website. Now, I'm all about making life easier, and that's where apps like Ibotta and Honey come in handy. These little helpers do the deal searching for you. Just scan your receipt after shopping and bam, cash back. Remember, the name of the game is combining coupons with sales. That's when the real savings magic happens. Just make sure it's something you'll actually use. No use stockpiling 10 cans of pickled beets if nobody in your house will touch them. Now I know what you might be thinking, ain't nobody got time for clipping coupons. And you know what? I hear ya. It can feel like a full-time job sometimes. But here's the thing, even if you just snag a few good deals, it adds up over time. Think of it like this. Every dollar saved is a dollar you can put towards something fun like a fancy coffee or a new cookbook. And don't be afraid to get the whole family involved. Turn it into a game. Who can find the best deals? The winner gets to pick dessert. So channel your inner bargain hunter and let's make those grocery bills shrink. Okay, y'all, let's talk about generic brands. I know, sometimes those name brand boxes just call your name. But trust me on this one, generic brands are where it's at. You see, most of the time, those store brand products are just as good as the name brands, but they cost a whole lot less. It's like getting the same delicious cake, but for half the price. Think about it. Those big name brands spend a pretty penny on advertising and fancy packaging. And guess who ends up paying for all that? You got it, the consumer. But when you choose generic, you're basically saying, no thanks, fancy commercials, I'll take those savings instead. And who doesn't love a little extra cash in their pocket? Now, I'm not saying you have to go completely generic on everything. We all have our favorite treats and must-haves. But I challenge you to give those store brands a try, especially for staples like flour, sugar, canned goods, and spices. You might be surprised at how much you can save just by making a few simple swaps. We're talking a potential 20 to 30% off your grocery bill. That's a whole lot of savings, folks. And you know what you can do with all that extra money? Well, you could treat yourself to a nice dinner out, buy that cute top you've been eyeing, or even put it towards a little vacation fund. The possibilities are endless. So next time you're at the store, don't be afraid to venture into the land of generic brands. Your wallet, and maybe even your taste buds, will thank you for it. All right, y'all, listen up because this next tip is a game changer. Are you ready? Never, and I mean never, go grocery shopping when you're hungry. It's a recipe for disaster, I tell ya. When your stomach is grumbling, everything looks good, and suddenly you're tossing things in your cart like there's no tomorrow. That family-sized bag of chips? Irresistible. That triple chocolate cake mix? A must-have. Before you know it, you've blown your budget on impulse buys and you haven't even reached the produce aisle yet. Trust me, I've been there, done that, and regretted it every time. It's like my brain goes on autopilot and all reason flies out the window. So what's the solution? It's simple. Eat something before you go to the store. Even a small snack, like a handful of nuts, a piece of fruit, or a yogurt, can make all the difference. When you're not battling a rumbling stomach, you're able to think clearly, make rational decisions, and stick to your shopping list like a pro. And you know what? You'll probably enjoy the shopping experience more too. No more hangry meltdowns in the cereal aisle. So do yourself and your wallet a favor. Fuel up before you head out to the grocery store. Your bank account will thank you for it. Y'all, buying in bulk can be a real lifesaver for your grocery budget, but only if you do it right. We're talking about those pantry staples you reach for again and again. You know, the flour, the sugar, the pasta, the canned tomatoes, all those good things that just make life easier. Now, when you see those big old bags and packages, it's tempting to grab them all. But hold your horses. Before you fill up your cart, think about what you actually use regularly. Do you really go through a gallon of mayonnaise every month? Probably not. Unless you're like feeding a ranch crew. The key here is to calculate the cost per unit. That means figuring out how much you're paying per ounce, per pound, or per serving. Sometimes that giant container isn't actually cheaper in the long run, especially if you end up tossing half of it out. Now, when it comes to perishables like fruits, veggies, and meat, bulk buying can be a little trickier. You don't want to end up with a mountain of zucchini going bad on your counter. Unless you're planning a huge family reunion or a chili cook-off, it's best to be realistic about how much you can actually use before it goes bad. This is where your freezer becomes your best friend. Portion out those bulk buys into freezer-safe bags or containers. That way, you can grab what you need and keep the rest fresh for later. Think frozen berries for smoothies, pre-chopped onions for soups, or ground beef for quick weeknight dinners. Trust me, your future self will thank you. Now let's talk about one of my favorite things: fresh, seasonal produce. There's just something special about biting into a juicy watermelon in the summer or a crisp apple in the fall. But here's the thing: shopping seasonally isn't just about savoring the flavors of the season, it's also about saving money. When fruits and vegetables are at their peak, they're more abundant, which means lower prices for us. Plus, they just taste better. Those strawberries in December might look tempting, but they'll never have the same sweetness and flavor as the ones you pick up at your local farm stand in June. And speaking of local, shopping seasonally is a great way to support your local farmers and producers. They work so hard to bring those delicious fruits and veggies to our tables, so let's show them some love. Now I know what you might be thinking. What about those times when I'm craving asparagus in December? Well, that's where a little creativity comes in. Frozen and canned produce can be your secret weapon during the off-season. Just make sure to choose varieties without added salt or sugar. And don't be afraid to experiment with different recipes and preservation methods. You might just discover a new family favorite. All right, let's talk about a simple way to put a little jingle back in your pocket: cash back credit cards. Now, I'm not talking about going into debt here. In fact, we use our credit card like a debit card. But using a credit card for groceries, especially one that offers cash back specifically on those purchases, can be a smart way to earn a little something extra. Many cards out there give you anywhere from 2 to 5% cash back on your grocery bills. That might not seem like much at first, but it can really add up over time, especially if you're feeding a hungry family like mine. Now, before you rush out and apply for the first credit card you see, it's important to do your research and find one that fits your needs. Look for cards with no annual fees, low interest rates, and of course, those sweet, sweet cashback rewards on groceries. And here's the most important part: be responsible. Only spend what you can afford to pay back in full each month. The last thing you want is to rack up interest charges and end up paying more for your groceries in the long run. Use that cash back wisely, like treating yourself to a nice cup of coffee or maybe a new kitchen gadget. Y'all, tip number 9 is near and dear to my heart. Cook at home more often. There's something truly magical about preparing a meal in your own kitchen, or even better, outdoors with your loved ones. The aroma of fresh ingredients sizzling on the grill, the laughter of family and friends gathered around, and the satisfaction of creating something delicious with your own hands. It's an experience that no restaurant can replicate. Now, I love a good date night at a fancy steakhouse as much as the next gal, but listen up. Those special nights out are wonderful, but they shouldn't be the norm. Dining out frequently can quickly become a habit that's hard to break. And before you know it, you're spending more on restaurant bills than you ever intended. Eating out all the time will drain your bank account faster than a leaky faucet. Think about it. Each meal at a restaurant comes with a hefty price tag, and those costs add up fast. It's not just the food, it's the drinks, the tips, the taxes. All those little extras can turn a simple meal into a financial burden. Think about it. For the price of a couple of restaurant meals, you can probably buy enough groceries to feed your whole family for a week. And not just any groceries. I'm talking about fresh, wholesome ingredients that you can turn into a variety of meals. From hearty breakfasts to satisfying dinners, the possibilities are endless when you cook at home. It's just plain common sense. When you cook at home, you're not only saving money, but you're also making healthier choices. You have control over what goes into your meals. which means you can avoid all those hidden sugars, unhealthy fats, and excessive sodium that are often found in restaurant dishes. It's like my mama always said, homemade food tastes better anyway. There's a special kind of love that goes into cooking for your family, and that love is something you can taste in every bite. Plus, cooking together can be a wonderful bonding experience. It's a chance to share stories, teach your kids valuable skills, and create memories that will last a lifetime. And you know what? Mama was right. There's just something so satisfying about sitting down to a meal you made yourself, with love and care, even if it's just a simple pot of soup or a skillet of cornbread. The pride you feel in knowing you created something nourishing and delicious is unmatched. There's just something so satisfying about sitting down to a meal you made yourself, with love and care, even if it's just a simple pot of soup or a skillet of cornbread. And let's not forget the joy of sharing that meal with the people you care about most. It's a way to show your love and appreciation, and to create a sense of togetherness that can't be bought. Plus, you get to control the ingredients, so you know exactly what you're putting into your body and your family's bodies. You can choose organic produce, lean meats, and whole grains, ensuring that every meal is as nutritious as it is delicious. And if you have dietary restrictions or preferences, cooking at home allows you to tailor your meals to meet those needs perfectly. Now, I understand that life gets busy. We're all juggling a million things these days. Between work, school, extracurricular activities, and social commitments, it can feel like there's never enough time to cook a proper meal. We're all juggling a million things these days. But trust me, even if you're short on time, cooking at home doesn't have to be a chore. With a little planning and some simple recipes, you can whip up delicious meals in no time. Think about batch cooking on the weekends, using a slow cooker, or prepping ingredients ahead of time to make weeknight dinners a breeze. But trust me, even if you're short on time, cooking at home doesn't have to be a chore. With a little planning and some simple recipes, you can whip up delicious meals in no time. Think about batch cooking on the weekends, using a slow cooker, or prepping ingredients ahead of time to make weeknight dinners a breeze. So, next time you're tempted to dine out, remember that the best meals are the ones made at home, with love. One of my favorite time-saving tricks is batch cooking. It's a game changer for anyone with a busy schedule. Imagine coming home after a long day and knowing that dinner is already halfway done. No more scrambling to put something together at the last minute. Spend a few hours on the weekend whipping up a big pot of chili, a pan of lasagna, or even a hearty stew. These dishes are perfect for making in large quantities, and they store really well. Or a batch of my famous chicken pot pie. It's comfort food at its finest and freezes beautifully. You can even get the whole family involved in the cooking process, making it a fun weekend activity. Then portion it out and freeze it for those busy weeknights when you can barely find time to breathe. Having these meals ready to go can be a lifesaver, especially when you're juggling work, family, and other commitments. Another lifesaver is meal prepping. Chop up some veggies, cook some grains, and prepare your proteins in advance. This way, you have all the components of a healthy meal ready to go. Grill some chicken breasts, whatever you like, and store them in containers in your fridge. You can mix and match these ingredients throughout the week to keep your meals interesting, and store them in containers in your fridge. This not only saves time, but also helps you stick to a healthier eating plan. No more reaching for takeout menus when you're tired and hungry. That way, when dinner time rolls around, you can just assemble your meal in a flash. Easy peasy. Plus, it gives you more time to relax and enjoy your evening. And don't be afraid to get creative with leftovers. Leftovers can be transformed into entirely new dishes with just a little bit of imagination. That roast chicken from Sunday dinner? Shred it up and make chicken salad sandwiches, chicken noodle soup, or even chicken enchiladas. The possibilities are endless. Shred it up and make chicken salad sandwiches, chicken noodle soup, or even chicken enchiladas. The possibilities are endless. You can even use the bones to make a rich, flavorful broth. Those overripe bananas on the counter? Hello, banana bread! It's a great way to reduce waste and enjoy a delicious treat. Remember, cooking at home is all about using what you have, being resourceful, and making the most of every ingredient. It's a skill that not only saves you time and money, but also brings a sense of satisfaction, and making the most of every ingredient. And the best part? You get to enjoy delicious homemade meals that are tailored to your taste. Your taste buds and your wallet will thank you for it. So take it easy, plan ahead, and enjoy the process of cooking at home. It's all about making life a little bit simpler and a lot more delicious. All right, partners, our last tip, but certainly not least, is all about being mindful and respectful of the food we have. In today's world, it's easy to take food for granted, but we need to remember that every bite we take has a story behind it. From the farmer who planted the seeds to the truck driver who delivered it to our local store, a lot of effort goes into getting food to our tables. That's right, we're talking about reducing food waste. It's a simple concept, but it can have a huge impact on our environment and our wallets. When we waste food, we're not just throwing away the food itself, but also all the resources that went into producing it. Now, I don't know about you, but it breaks my heart to throw away perfectly good food. Think about all the people who don't have enough to eat. It's a sobering thought, isn't it? By being more mindful of our food consumption, we can make a difference. It's not just about the money we're wasting, although that's definitely a factor. When we throw away food, we're also throwing away the money we spent on it. And let's be honest, who doesn't want to save a little extra cash? It's also about the resources that went into producing that food, the water, the energy, the labor. Every piece of food that ends up in the trash represents a waste of these precious resources. By reducing our food waste, we can help conserve these resources and reduce our environmental footprint. It just makes good sense to use what we have and minimize waste whenever possible. Not only does it benefit the environment, but it also helps us become more resourceful and creative in the kitchen. So how do we do that? How do we make sure we're not wasting food? It all starts with a little bit of planning and organization. Well, it starts with being organized. Keep your refrigerator and pantry tidy so you can see what you have on hand. This way, you won't accidentally buy something you already have, and you'll be more likely to use up what you have before it goes bad. Keep your refrigerator and pantry tidy so you can see what you have on hand. This way, you won't accidentally buy something you already have, and you'll be more likely to use up what you have before it goes bad. It's a simple step, but it can make a big difference. Before you head to the grocery store, take inventory of your pantry and fridge. Make a list of what you actually need and try to use up what you already have before it goes bad. This not only helps reduce waste, but also saves you money. Make a list of what you actually need and try to use up what you already have before it goes bad. This not only helps reduce waste, but also saves you money. Plus, it makes grocery shopping a lot easier and quicker. And speaking of going bad, let's talk about those expiration dates. They can be confusing, but understanding them can help you reduce waste. Now, I'm not saying you should eat something that smells funky or has sprouted fur, but a lot of those dates are just suggestions. Best by and sell-by dates are often about quality, not safety. Use your senses, look, smell, and taste to determine if something is still good to eat. But a lot of those dates are just suggestions. Best by and sell-by dates are often about quality, not safety. Use your senses, look, smell, and taste to determine if something is still good to eat. Trust your judgment and don't be afraid to get creative with leftovers. Use your best judgment, y'all. By being mindful of our food and reducing waste, we can make a positive impact on our environment, save money, and ensure that we're making the most of the resources we have. Let's all do our part to waste not, want not. Now let's talk about leftovers. Instead of letting them languish in the back of the fridge, give them a new lease on life. Turn that leftover roast chicken into a delicious chicken salad or a hearty pot of soup. Stale bread? Cube it up and make croutons, breadcrumbs, or even bread pudding. And don't forget about your freezer. It's a lifesaver when it comes to reducing food waste. Freeze leftover portions of meals, extra fruits and vegetables, chop them up first for smoothies, and even bread products to use later. Remember, a little creativity goes a long way when it comes to using up leftovers. Think outside the box and have fun with it. You might be surprised at the delicious and inventive meals you can create with just a few simple ingredients. And that, my friends, is the key to reducing food waste. Being resourceful, being creative, and appreciating the bounty we have. And there you have it. 10 simple ways to save money on groceries, straight from my ranch to yours. Now these tips might seem basic, just good old-fashioned common sense, and that's because they are. But trust me, when you put them all together, they can make a real difference in your monthly budget. Every little bit adds up, and before you know it, you'll have a little extra cash in your pocket to spend on the things you love, like a weekend getaway or a fancy new pair of boots. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more down-home tips and tricks. And be sure to share this video with your friends and family. Everyone loves saving money, right? Let me know in the comments which tip you're going to try first. I'm always happy to hear from y'all. Until next time, happy saving, partners.